Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Let's Talk 1943. This one is going to be one for the record books. I am so proud and to have our guest today. As you know, I'm a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, and I have the honor and pleasure to talk to a candidate that is running for North Carolina State Director. This is like monumental. It's like the first time it's ever happened, and we are going to get to know Miss Jamie Bridges Pass. So, Miss Soror Pass, how are you doing?
Wonderful. How are you? Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. So, we're going to go down a little bit of memory lane tonight. We're going to talk about who Jamie is. I think it's so important because North Carolina Zetas know her very well. Internationally, they know her very well. But let's get to know Jamie. Like, this is get to know who you are as a person. And we're going to kind of build it up and go through your life a little bit. And then we'll get to your platform at the end. It was so unique done. I tell her last name, boy, she can use it for everything. So
Everything.
we're gonna go through the past, her platform, and we're gonna break it down and what it means. So we got a lot to talk about. So Sora's I know that on my page as well as Sora Pass page, she had put the link to come on the show. If you have any questions, comments, you want to just give her a prayer or a praise, whatever you want to do, you're welcome to do so. If you want to get on here and you don't know how, just comment under what you're watching us on right now on the platform that you would like to talk, and I will make sure to shoot you over the link so you'll be able to come in at the end when we do the questions and answers for Sora Pass. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. So we have our first slide here, and we wanted to talk. This is who Jamie is. It's just her by herself. So Jamie, break down who you are as a person.
So, thank you so much for this platform just to
Mhm.
get to know who I am. I'm just Jamie. I hold similar roles, multiple roles as we all do, right? I'm dedicated to my family, my church, my sorority, my profession. Um, in this picture right here, this is when everyone was so excited to see the first African American woman be inaugurated as the vice president of the United States. So this was the Chucks and Pearls day,
Yes,
right?
I have one
And
too.
yes, yes. And so, how exciting was that for us to celebrate one of our own sisters of the Divine Nine? But personally, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I was a daughter of two beautiful, triumphant spirits that watch over me every day.
Mhm.
Um, I'm a director of a beautiful spa that I love to go to every day. Environment is half the battle of the type of job that you have, whether you love it or don't love it.
Good point.
And I absolutely love what I do, where we just promote balance and relaxation, and we're able to create experiences for people. But that's not the breadth of my professional experience.
Mhm.
I've been an executive, I've been an administrator in higher ed administration. I tried my hand at being an entrepreneur, and
Mhm.
part of that was figuring out if you like it or you don't. And it was not for me. So
Yeah, it's not for
ku-
everybody.
it is not for everybody. So kudos to everybody that it is for. It was not for me. And so, you know, life is about trying things that work, and for those things that don't work, you just kind of, put it in reverse back up and try another lane. And so this lane that I'm in really mirrors my corporate background versus the industry of health and wellness that I'm in now.
Mhm.
And I love it. And to be able to do something every day professionally where you feel like you're walking in your purpose, it's a wonderful feeling. It's
It
a wonderful.
really is. It really is. And so you said you was in more of the corporate world, and then you decided to live in your purpose by being where you at in the luxury resort that you are in now, and you're a massage therapist as well, correct?
I am. I am a licensed massage therapist. And so, I understand the things that my massage therapists do, and the ethics that we have to uphold and the credentials we need to have. And so I think it's important as a leader or as a director that
Hmm.
you are able to understand what people do because you've held that position as well.
Right.
So, to tie that into Zeta, it's important to have served at different levels and different capacities to understand those things that, you try to be a leader for. So, yeah.
Right. And especially, at a lot of people is scared to take that leap. So when you go from corporate and when you finally say, you know what, I want to do what's right for me and what I can do to serve the world and living in your purpose. So that alone tells you a little bit about your character because it really is, difficult for some people to let go of something that is familiar and something that's structured to something that's more flexible and a little bit more, you have to kind of make it work.
Yeah. And I'll say this though, like when I went from corporate to higher ed,
Hmm.
that was not of my own doing. So that was the thing about corporate,
Hmm.
there is no more job security. So they structure and restructure their organizations, and so I
Hmm.
got caught up in that, right?
Right.
So sometimes I feel like God makes things just uncomfortable enough for
Hmm.
us to move on to that next thing that he has for us. And
Hmm.
so that's when I left corporate and went into higher ed administration. From higher ed administration into the health and wellness industry that I'm in now actually was my choice. And that is where the faith in God and the belief in myself really, really came into play.
Hmm.
And honestly, the support of my parents. Was very instrumental in me making that decision and being comfortable with it. And what was interesting was, people's perception of you and what they feel like you should be doing
Hmm.
versus what you believe and what you should be doing is very interesting. So I had to reconcile and settle with that. And once I did that, I definitely was walking in my purpose.
And you go to work every day just like a dream. Like it's a different feeling when you walk in your purpose and go somewhere or work somewhere or in your own business. It's a whole nother feeling that you will never experience if you don't step out on faith and do it.
That's right. That's
It's, uh,
right.
so we
That's
got a little bit of snapshot of Jamie as a woman, as a person, as a wife, as a daughter, as um, a soror. So we're gonna move on.
all right.
And this day, we're gonna get a little bit more into it in the next one, but let's go ahead and capture this picture of these beautiful women, Soras in the picture.
So this was in 2018. This was at the Grand Boule down in New Orleans. So this was like my first opportunity to serve as the international grammatius. I was elected in 2016, so this was
Hmm.
my first working boule.
Hmm.
And you see my mom there, and actually at this boule I was running again for re-election, so those are shirts that we have made. And you see my mom. I think what's so beautiful about this picture is that it didn't matter if she was walking, if she was on a walker, if she was
Hmm.
on a cane, and you see her on that scooter, she was going to be everywhere her daughters were, right? Nothing was going to keep her from supporting her daughter. And what I loved about, she was in Beta Nu Zeta chapter here in Greensboro, North
Greensboro.
Carolina. And what I love about what they allowed her to do was to be a delegate so she could cast her vote for me.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, just beautiful. My mom served in the sorority for over 50 years. She was a Zeta Dove. And so, she has had her fill of being a delegate, but she made that request and they granted that for her.
Oh,
And And it just was beautiful. So she would roll around with her t-shirt, her buttons. She had a little horn on that thing.
So I
And we
move.
just, yeah, and she would just scoot all around wherever we were. That's where she was. And that um is just indicative of the family unit that she and my father created for us.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then those are my two older sisters. The one with my t-shirt on, that's my older sister Joy. And then the one on the other side of me, that's my middle sister Gina. So we're
Hmm.
standing in height order, but not age order.
She said we in height order. So, but yeah, but that's beautiful that you could share, Zeta. You know, you pass the torch down your mother to you, your sister. It's just amazing that the family's blue and white, and that's something that you could share and do
Yeah.
together as a family.
Yeah, and and that whole pass the torch thing
Hmm.
started long before this campaign because my mother became a member of the sorority at Winston-Salem State University in Omega chapter.
Hmm.
That's where I became a member at Winston-Salem State
Oh.
University, Omega chapter. So we were legacies in that way. My mother also served as international, well, at that time it was national grammatica, or national
Hmm.
secretary,
Hmm.
and so I believe we're like the first mother and daughter that have served in the
I
same
think
international
so.
office. Yeah. And so she continuously passed the torch to us. And, as the baby girl, I'm going to grab it and I'm going to move on. And, even though she's not with us anymore, she's still passing that torch. She's still passing that torch.
Yeah, she put that in you. That's already embedded. So
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
beautiful. So this is the reason why I said we're gonna hold off, because this was a moment that I actually was able to experience as well, and that room was something else after this. Our Eastern region in North Carolina, so it was just amazing that
Yeah.
when we get to, well, this one here, I know this is a family picture that
Yeah, this
and
is us
of course you
again.
have to wear your blue.
Absolutely, absolutely.
The
We are a
love,
blue and
the
white
love of the
family
moment.
through and through.
The bridges, this is the family right here.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah.
that's that good old church photo.
That's the church. Look, that's the church Sears JC Penney photo.
Yes, yes, that's that church life touch picture.
Lifetime. But look, it carries though. It looks nice. It's very nice with the blue. So it's a beautiful picture of the family. It really
Yeah,
is. It shows that love that y'all have for each other.
absolutely.
Definitely does. So this is the picture I was discussing. Now I was literally sitting about 4 rows behind you when this happened, so I was
Yeah.
close. And you want to go ahead and describe the picture?
Yeah. So this was 2016. So this is when I won in Orlando, and I'm gonna dab my eye right quick because this is
I'm
one
telling
of
you.
my absolute favorite pictures ever. And I remember, how we had the long rows of tables. So I
Hmm.
was sitting on the opposite end with my chapter, and mommy is down here with Beta Nu Zeta. And as soon as they announced those results, Regina, I just got up out of my
I
chair,
saw
went
you ran.
down, and yeah, and I just wanted to fall, as you see, in my mama's arms. And this right here is nothing like a mother's love.
Mm,
It is nothing like a mother's love. Like, and I didn't even realize people were capturing this
hmm.
moment. And so when I got it, when they sent it to me, I was like, oh my gosh. And that I have it forever and ever and ever to constantly relive this moment when
Hmm.
I became her legacy in holding this office. And again, she was there in 2016 casting her vote for her
That's
baby
right.
girl.
That's right.
Sitting in the delegation with the rest of us. And so I cherish these moments so much, and who captured this picture and sent it to me is just so priceless.
It's like actually like the moment, because I mean the room, that whole section over there just went in like a big. I mean, it was just loud and everybody was screaming and crying and
I
jumping up and
know.
down because
Yeah,
we in Eastern North Carolina, or in North Carolina period, we knew the substance of this. We knew what was happening. You know that
yeah,
it was going to be something this
yeah,
amazing that your mother was able to see this happen, and it was a
yeah.
beautiful moment for that. It was actually
Yeah, and I in North Carolina, Ohio, like Atlantic region, Eastern region, Great Lakes, everybody was so instrumental in getting me to this moment. And this for me is where, I feel like the trajectory took off. I
right.
had served in several positions, appointed and elected on the regional level in Great Lakes and Eastern region. But this is when I kind of just branched out. And
Mhm,
I will say this, when I see this moment and I think about where it all started, like
mhm,
for me to run for national secretary, there were several people that were instrumental in the initial conversation for me.
mhm,
One was Triumphant Soror Betty Murchison,
mhm.
who I went through so many ups and downs with her. You know how you might have that teacher and you feel like they on you all the
You
time and
tell
he just does not like me. And once we had that conversation and I realized how much she really did care for me, it
Mhm,
changed the nature of our relationship. And she was one of the initial supporters for me to run for international secretary and represent North Carolina,
mhm,
right? And
mhm,
then the other person that was instrumental in that conversation was Lakeisha Holly Neal, actually.
mhm.
Very supportive of those efforts. And we know that Soror Murchison and Holly Neal had a very special relationship.
Yes.
And so, as our 14th state director, she was very supportive in this initiative. So, I think of those initial conversations. I
Mhm.
think of the whole journey I had that led to this moment right here. And it just gives me goosebumps. It gives me goosebumps because it was a journey. Nothing that I could have orchestrated myself, Regina, but
Mhm.
you and I have always talked about how things just align,
Yeah,
right?
divine order. Mm.
Yes. And you just kind of go in that, you walk in that, and things manifest. So when I think of those initial conversations, and then of course my mother, I was like, Mommy, I talked to Sarah Murchison. She thinks I could do it and do it now. Cause like my time frame was a little later. And Sarah Murchison was like, you gonna do it now because this is the time. I was like, but am I ready? My mom was like, you're ready.
Mhm. Yeah. Start
You're
trying to get out
ready.
of it.
Yeah, she said you're ready. And
Mhm,
so, I probably had some of that a baby girl of the family moment. Like
mhm.
if your mama says it, then that is it.
That's it.
That's it. Okay, yes, ma'am, I'm ready. And so the journey was just amazing. I got to meet so many sorors across the country. That's when we would travel to different regions and state
Mhm,
meetings um, and regional conferences. And so it broadened my perspective of
mhm,
Zeta.
mhm.
And it showed me how people do things differently in a good way, and so I saw best practices in other regions and other states. I was able to see some people that I have maintained relationships with through the years. And so it was a fabulous journey. And so this was the manifestation of that. And it's such a beautiful moment.
It
Such a beautiful.
is. I'm glad we was able to talk about it because this is really important just to have people understand, the importance of just family, a mother and daughter relationship, just the story of someone who thought they probably would never get here and they finally do, and able to share it with that most important person in their lives. It's just
Yeah.
perfect. perfect painting, right? It's a perfect painting.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
we actually have a comment here. Ronnie Nelson, she said that was an absolutely beautiful moment. It was,
Yes,
Ronnie. It was, Sora. It was. It was an amazing moment. It's something that you can't even imagine, and we still
yeah,
remember it to this day, like it was
yeah,
yesterday. So
yeah.
that was a great moment. So I would like to just say, Soros, if you have any comments, if you want to put them in the chat, and if you do want to come on the show, you're welcome to do so. You just let me know, and I will just go ahead and put the link there. So you'll be able to click in and I'll let you into the show. And you could be live with us and talk to us and talk to Sora Pass and, anything you want to tell her or something you want to ask her. It's a good time. You have her to yourself. You can ask any question you need to ask.
Got me all to yourself.
Exactly. You got it all to yourself. You can ask any question you need to ask her for the state of North Carolina or Zeta Hood at all, or anything you want to know about her platform. As we get to the end, we're going to talk about her platform. So if you have any questions or comments about it, please, she's willing and ready to talk. So we'll get there in a moment. So we'll move on. And this picture, I know we have a lot to talk about because this, I will give you a little synopsis. So one day I was reading Facebook and was a post on there that she had put, Sora Pass, about her relationship and meeting her husband. And it really, really touched me. And it was something that I think that I no, not think, I knew needed to be told because a lot of us are in this still moment and we think it's never going to end. And we think that we're the only ones out here that don't have anyone, and we think that the world's against us. And when I read that post, I was like, I have to have Jamie on my show because she gets it. She understands the assignment, she understands how it works. And that show was one of our top shows, actually. It was one of
Yeah,
our top shows because it really resonated with women to make them have hope and let them know that this is just a season, but you need to embrace and enjoy the season of singleness. So
absolutely.
let's go into the singleness portion of it, and then we'll build it up to how you met your husband, and then we'll talk about this picture. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
So, first of all, that was so much. It was such a blessing to my spirit to even be able to explain that journey because, as we talked about on the show, people always see the end result, but they don't know what that journey is, leading up to this picture.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, as I unpacked things in my own spirit that were like packed down and did some work for me, I realized that being single was not a curse. It wasn't a sentence. It was a season for you to prepare yourself for whatever God has for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
For everyone, it might not be marriage. For everyone, it might not be children. For everyone, it just is what God will have for you. But it's an opportunity for women to individually assess and work on those things that we pack away. We pack
Mm-hmm.
away and we think it's never gonna come back out. And it really does. It comes through our pores, it comes through our energy, it comes through our relationships, it comes through our ability to trust, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so even if you don't verbally say it, it comes out in more in different ways. And so I had gone through a public relationship and breakup, and you know, I had to find me again, and I had to figure out why that landed so hard. And so when I did the work, which included therapy,
Mm-hmm.
I realized it wasn't even about the breakup. It was just how I dealt with loss and some losses that I had not dealt with in the past, such as the passing of my father.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did the work. I did some, crazy things that my girlfriends were like, okay, yeah, let's do it. and to just get me over that hump. And
Mhm.
Regina, once I did that and my spirit was clear, and
Mhm.
I was clear on my path, again, my purpose, and
Mhm.
just where I was going in life, child, we go to 2019 state conference in Charlotte, and I am minding my good Zeta business. And this man, who is part of Beta Rho Sigma chapter in Charlotte, North Carolina, is, the Sigmas are very supportive there, of the Zeta. So they were out and everybody was just, mixing and mingling.
Mhm.
And he saw me across the room. And I
Mhm.
know it sounds so cliche, but he really did. And I have a big personality. And so many times, and we talked about this on the show,
Mhm.
how women are told, oh, you're so intimidating, and I can't mess with you, you high maintenance,
Yeah,
things.
maintenance exactly.
Yeah, you intimidate me, you don't need a man. This man had the courage that other men didn't have.
Mhm.
And he came up to me, and he said, you might not remember me, but I'm Scott Pass, and we just struck up a conversation. So he did that thing that most men hadn't done, and he struck up a conversation that night, and we still talking.
We still together.
And we still together, and so what's beautiful about it is that we talked in the show that, not only do women have to do the work, but men have to do the
Do
work. And then you will see each other with different eyes, right?
Mhm.
Um, we laugh and we joke all the time how when we were dating and we were talking, and we were talking about how many people we know, the same.
Mhm.
And but we don't remember running into each other like back in the day.
Mhm.
So and we always say it's because you couldn't see me with the eyes you had, because you were too
There you
busy
go.
looking at whatever else, right? So you
That's
weren't
it.
ready to see me.
Mhm.
But God kept us in each other's orbits, right? So when
Mhm.
we were ready, our
Yup.
worlds collided.
Amen. There you
Yes,
go.
honey.
There you
Our worlds
go.
collided. And so I tell him all the time that we have a story that should be shared, and that will
Mhm.
help people to really understand. And then you have to allow yourself to be vulnerable, right? So
Mhm.
his background led him to, us meeting. My background led it to us meeting, but we had to find a trust and be vulnerable with each other to
Mhm.
really make it work. And I think we were at the point in each of our individual lives that we said we're going to have to do something different to get something different. And we were different with each other. And it's been the best lover stroll. It really has been. It's been beautiful. Now, I'm not gonna say it's been easy, but when you're going through life with someone that you just trust and you respect,
Mhm.
um, hard times are easy to get through too. So
But
yeah, so
that's
we've
so
had doubters and we've had haters, but we have a village that loves us and uplifts us and encourages us, of single and married people. And
Mhm.
so I think that's just a reflection of who we are individually and how we draw people into our lives,
Mhm.
and how they really and genuinely support us. And so, when it was placed in his spirit and on his heart to propose, he had the opportunity to speak to my mom. He spoke to my mom, he spoke to both of my sisters, and he spoke to my best friend who just popped her comment on the screen. And and it just was beautiful. It was beautiful how he proposed and just the timing of everything. And so, for those who don't know, we got married in the midst of COVID, because my mom's health was declining at that time, and I wanted two things. I wanted my husband to be there, and I wanted my mama to be there.
There you go.
And so we had a fabulous wedding planner. It didn't hurt that I work at a resort that's fabulous for wedding venues, right? Couldn't
Right.
describe it any better. Um, and the dates worked, and we put together a beautiful wedding in 8 weeks, and then my mom gave us 8 bonus weeks, and
Oh.
then she passed away. Yeah. And so the great testimony and all of that, from that last picture from Boulay, and like this picture, and so many other pictures that I have in photo albums, and just in my life, is
Hmm.
that while I miss her every single day, I have to rejoice, Regina, because she was at every single benchmark moment in my life,
Yes.
including this one.
Yes.
And people say, "Oh, the wedding day is for the bride." That was her day.
Hmm.
That was her day. She was beautiful. She was laughing. She was smiling. And it just was wonderful. It was a wonderful event that I will never forget. And again, another benchmark moment in my life that my mother was at.
And I know I use um, something you said on the show that I actually quote, and I quote, and I make sure to say your name when I say it. I've been on several podcasts as a guest, and we talked about singleness. And I said, I had to quote my Soror Path, that she said, don't get mad, don't get angry when you see your friends and family around you getting married and
Oh,
engaged. She
yeah.
said, that means God is in your neighborhood. And that
Hmm.
means he's coming for you soon. He's
Yeah.
letting you know to be prepared and be ready because he's coming, because others
Yes.
around you are showing you what love is. When she said that on my show, I was like, I had to throw something at my screen. I said, you know what? That is the best way of saying that,
Yeah.
because people take it like, you know, his
Yeah.
attitude, a little lip
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
because it's like you always the bridesmaid, never the bride, kind
Yeah.
of concept. But when you said it like that, it made so much sense. I'm like, God is here. He's
Yeah.
around me. Like he's
Yes.
here. So I always use that as a quote. That was beautiful when you said that.
Girl, and it's free of charge, child. I think I got it from my pastor.
Look, I quote you. He be like, hey, that came from me.
But it is so true, Regina. It's so true. You gotta celebrate. You gotta celebrate your sister. You gotta celebrate your brother. You gotta celebrate the people around you, because those are your neighbors in life. And if
Mhm.
God is blessing them, He is one door, two doors down the street. He's in the neighborhood. And honey, I promise He's gonna knock on your door and He's gonna bless you too.
And you want
Yeah.
everyone to be happy for you too. 'Cause when you in it, you can't see that, because
Yes.
other people, when you got to do for other people, when you want them to do it for you, you like, oh, nobody's happy for me. You got to
Yeah.
show that love. And singleness, like I said, in the season you in, enjoy, embrace it, learn in it, and listen to what God is telling you in it, so He could prepare you and build that little tool belt that's around your waist, little tool belt of everything you learned. You're going to
Yes.
have it nice and full. So when that time comes, you'll be prepared to be able to receive that person. Because a lot
Absolutely.
of times we want it, but we're not ready to receive it. So when we get it, we don't do right by it because we didn't do our work. I'm sorry.
Right.
You're off
Yeah.
my soapbox. Okay.
Look, we about to open the doors of the church because you preach like
Who want to come to the altar?
that.
Who want to come to the
Yeah.
altar? We have a couple of comments I'll go ahead and put here before we move on. Soror Cherry. Hey, Soror Cherry.
Hey,
I love you
Sergeant.
too. I love you too, girl. I know she's out there watching us right now. We have Soror Lucas. Okay, well, we're gonna get to that question. That's gonna be coming up in about a couple more slides. We're gonna lay out her whole platform. We're gonna talk about all her credentials. We're gonna get all of that. So when you see it, we'll go ahead and answer that, and I'll get back to you, Soror Lucas. So hold on, keep watching. And actually, this is my cousin.
Oh,
Yes, Lori. Hey, Lori. Yeah, she said she liked about the neighborhood part.
nice.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Lori, for watching.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Love you, girl. So, all right, we'll move on here. And so we discussed that Sora has been married for over a year now, correct?
It's
Maybe a
two
little over
years.
2 years
A little
now, right?
over 2 years.
Over 2 years. And as you see, he is a fraternity brother. And as she said, so we were talking about this, and I was saying, it's so important just in general for your husband to support you, period. It doesn't matter he was in the fraternity or not, but have him support you in something endeavor like this, because this is major, and we're going to break that down in a minute, how much it is to run for a position like a state director. But
Yeah.
you have to have a great support system around you to lift you up, because there's going to be long nights and long days, and
Yeah.
you have to have that already discussed, right? And it's just a bonus that he is a fraternity brother, so he understands the assignment. So you want to talk about this photo and a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So I never make singular or silo decisions. And so when the conversations about me running for a state director were coming up and things being considered, I needed to ask him, first of all, are you okay with this? Like, do you understand what this will do, how this will, require my time, how I
Mm-hmm.
want you with me on this
Mm-hmm.
journey? And so we really did have to sit down and talk about it again, because he is a member of the fraternity. He understands what it is. And the one thing that I love about Scott is, in all my craziness, he is very supportive and he keeps me grounded. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we have those conversations, but he's always like, if that's what you want to do, I'm with you. And so I live life out loud. And when he asked me to be his bride, he
Mm-hmm.
didn't realize how out loud he would be as well.
Even though we were signed up for
Right, right. I think he knew a little bit, but he ain't know, like,
the
yeah.
whole.
So I really am gentle with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but when he's with me, it fits, because that's what the holistic blue and white experience is all about, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
about zetas, it's about collegiates, it's about amici, it's about youth, it's about our brothers,
Mm-hmm.
who are constitutionally bound
That's
together. And you know sometimes zeta can live more out loud than sigma, right? But so when he asked me to be his, we became one. His life became a little more,
more. A little more.
yeah, a little more
That's what
exposure.
he's driving it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But he is my safe space as well. That when
Mm-hmm.
things do get crazy,
Mm-hmm.
like, I can come on back to center and he's always right there. So that's a good thing. So I never mind getting his input on anything, because I think it's important.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is important. So this is that's why I said it's so nice, because of just that your family is already blue and white, and then you just married someone that's in the same family. It just showed that love that you have for this organization, and it wasn't like you aimed. It just divine order, and it just came to. It just
I'm telling you,
you
I
wasn't
couldn't I couldn't have scripted it
no you
any
could
better. The only thing, if I have hoped for anything and wished for anything, is for my dad to have met him,
right
right?
right.
Yeah, but I know he knows and he sees, and that my mom met him and spent
Mm-hmm,
time with him and talked
mm-hmm.
to him and gave her blessing on him. That's like, my mom and dad were aligned. So it really is beautiful. It really is.
It is. This is a
Yeah.
beautiful story. You may have to write a book about this. Okay, so I would just like to remind the audience we have a lot of people watching. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I really appreciate it. I know Sora Pass does because this is something she wanted to do. She wanted to show you her just who she is as a person, outside of Zeta, and then we'll definitely get the platform on in a minute. But if you do want to be on the show, you're able to answer your question yourself, please let me know. Just put it in the comments that you're interested, and I could go ahead and send the link to you so you'll be able to be on the show because we're about to get to the question and answers in a couple minutes. So we want to hear from you. So please, if you're interested, please do. So we'll go on. All right. So we're going to get into the platform and a little bit
Yeah,
about her credentials and why she's doing what she's doing. Because this is, like we said, a big task here that she's
yeah,
coming, she's
yeah,
trying to partake on. So right here,
yeah.
you see on the screen here, this is all her credentials and everything that she has done in Zeta. So if you wanted to kind of give us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so actually, this screen shows the commitment to our leadership conferences and different trainings and
Hmm.
certifications that I have had. And as we know, to attend Boulay's regionals and state conferences, that's definitely a commitment and a sacrifice of our time and our treasure, right? But
Hmm.
I think I believe the development that I've gotten from all of these trainings and all of these conferences have developed me and made me the leader that I am in the sorority, which makes me know without a shadow of doubt that this is the appointed time for me to serve in this role as state director. I've been prepared, and not just in exposure, but in experience and in training. And I know you have the other slide that has the actual experience that I've
Yes,
had.
about to get to that. Yes. So this is just telling you a little bit about, like you said, the trainings and the conferences.
Mhm.
And the conferences are trainings, as we learned
They
as
are.
they are
Yeah.
regional state. Boulets are big workshops, and we learn a lot, and we take care of the business of Zeta while we're there.
Yeah.
And she has not missed any of those. So,
Yeah. Look, I missed a few in 34 years, but but the breadth of my commitment definitely reflects in my registered attendance. And
exactly.
yes, and my participation in various trainings. Actually, one of the trainings on there, it's a couple on there that I'm pretty proud of. Like I was part of the first cohort for Zoe back in 2005,
Mm,
which was a brainchild of our triumphant Grand Barbara C. Moore.
hmm.
And and I'm not really sure what is developed into now, but that first cohort was fabulous because it really did prepare me for actual things that we deal with and look at in Zeta. So
Hmm.
whether it was how to negotiate contracts, how to read our financial statements, which really kind of led me into becoming a financial officer on the regional level.
Hmm.
Um, and then we had the conflict management and things of that nature, and then we had the project at the end, which I believe people still do today. But that first cohort, like we do have a claim to fame that no one else can claim.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
it again opened my eyes as I prepared to become the leader that I am. And so it's not just about exposure, it's about experience after the exposure.
That's true. And I was in cohort, I was in 18.
Mhm.
So it has grown a lot. But like you said, that first baby, that's just like, the
Yeah.
foundation of where we were at, and, and so on and so forth. but
Yeah.
it was a great experience, and I'm glad I did do it. I'm glad I am Zoll certified. So it's a big deal. It's like the masters in Zeta, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big deal, and I hope it continues to develop where it's instrumental for people on all levels.
Mhm,
Whether you're, a collegiate soror that's new in the graduate chapter, that's just starting out on a journey of leadership, or whether
mhm,
you serve as an executive at your company and you need a different level of leadership
mhm,
training.
mhm,
Hopefully we'll identify those different levels and provide the training accordingly. The other training that I'm super proud of is that National Association of Parliamentarian training that we
mhm.
did here in the state of North Carolina.
Yes.
So in that one, I was in cohort 2 and finished in 2021. And as Zeta has developed and we get really into our governing documents and the proper order of how to handle business.
Mhm,
I believe that whole parliamentary procedure piece has grown significantly, definitely under the leadership of my board roommate and former international parliamentarian Lakitha Prelo.
mhm,
She really did a good job of pushing that training forward
mhm.
and feeding everyone's hunger and thirst
You're
for
right.
additional knowledge. And so I believe that that push from that experience and sitting next to her on the board prompted different trainings needed, in different areas. And
Yeah.
so when we had the opportunity to do this specialized NAP training here in the state of North Carolina, under the leadership of Dr. K and our Madam State Director, it was an amazing opportunity. And so I know there's a chapter in Charlotte that created a chapter of NAP. And I'm really excited to find out a little bit more about that, because when we have these trainings, we don't want to just get the certification. We want to take that training to the next level. So, whether that's becoming a member of the National Association of Parliamentarians, whether that's becoming, taking the steps to become a registered parliamentarian, so
Mhm,
we can be stronger members that can govern our business properly
mhm.
and more efficiently. So that was really exciting and of great interest to me in this chapter in my Zeta life. So those two trainings right there were really significant.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I'm actually a member of NAP myself. I did the training, the first one, and
Yep.
it's actually time for me to renew my dues. At the
Yeah.
end of the year, it's
Yeah.
time to pay the dues. So I am a member, and I'm going to continue to be a member because
Yep.
it's something that we need to do. And not, I mean, Zeta, yes, it's great to have, but it's great to have in general because if you're in
It
business,
is.
any type of business, if you run your own business or even in a business, they use the same thing that we use in Zeta. So it's good for you to know how to have a conduct, run, or understand a meeting.
Absolutely.
Very important.
Absolutely.
Very
Yes.
important. So let me see. We have another comment. Next level leadership.
Next level leadership. Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
That's
that's
my
it.
that's my Madam B.
That's it. Next level leadership.
Yes.
Right. So now we are at the actual positions that have been held by you
Yes.
and state, chapter, and regional and international.
Yeah. And so I'm actually really proud of this. And this is kind of an abbreviated version of several roles that I've held, but what it does is it shows the collective work that I've done on every level.
Mhm,
Because you cannot lead. I said this last night in the forum actually. You cannot effectively lead that which you have not done. And
mhm,
so, because I have served in every office on the chapter level, because I have enhanced my parliamentarian knowledge from when I was Ohio State parliamentarian until now, because I have been a record keeper of your finances on the regional level, because I have been able to effectively report your credentials, because I have been your official record keeper, I understand all of the levels and all of the positions to effectively lead the executive board, area coordinators, any training that chapters need on the collegiate and the graduate level. And
Mhm.
so I want Soros to truly know that while we all, me and my counterparts in this race, all have great ideas, the difference is the experience, and experience still matters. And so I'm proud of all of these offices that I've held on different levels over my 34 years. In 34 years, I would hope I would have some, good, solid, proven results in leadership.
Mhm.
And so I want Soros to know that that experience does make the difference. As far as the plans that we're telling you about, that my proven leadership and where I have been and the path that I have taken on this Zeta journey prepares me in a better manner to instantly instantly hit the ground running. So I don't say this in a braggadocious manner, but I want SARS to know that experience, it really does still matter.
Yeah, it does. It does. And at the beginning of the show, I was saying that past. I said she's just taking that name and she just chopping it up and using it all over the place. I said, when I first saw this, I just dropped my head. I said, you know what? she, she figured out how to use the last name, and it's really, I love it. I love it. So tell us how you came up with your slogan and your platform by using that name.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think one of the important things as I look at the breadth of my experience is that sorors poured into me and positioned me to be successful in order to do these things that you see on the screen.
Mhm.
And so, I was just sitting one day and I was like, if we position our sorors for success, which is the base of Zeta, right? Our
That's right.
sorors are the base of Zeta, and then we have branches of the rest of our family. So if we position sorors for success, every other branch on that Zeta tree will be positioned for success. So we'll have better relationships with each other. We will have better positioning for our amici. We will have better futures for our collegiate sorors and our youth auxiliaries. We
Mhm.
will have stronger relationships in our communities with our brothers and with our community partners. And so when we position sorors for success, we're able to continue that legacy of leadership here in the state of North Carolina that's made us the premier powerhouse that we are. But we need to understand the magnitude of our power, and not power tripping, but our power, our position in the sisterhood, how we can make a difference. But we can only do that if we present ourselves as a united state. And so I believe that comes from the leadership down. So as I have been positioned for success in these 34 years, it is my obligation, my duty, my responsibility, and my absolute pleasure to position other sorors for success as we move forward the agenda of the state. And
Yeah.
so it really is that simple for me. It's about paying forward what has uplifted and encouraged me in this journey.
Yeah, so we are past the torch,
We're
and we
gonna
learned
pass that
a little
torch.
earlier about how she feels about passing the torch. The torch was passed to her. Now she wants to
Yeah,
pass it on to the sisterhood and
yeah,
position the Soros for success. And as our documents, our parliamentarian, all that information that's positioning you for
yes,
success in Zeta. as
Yeah.
well as your jobs.
Yeah,
So it
absolutely.
goes out, it
Because
goes
I feel like, yeah, leadership that we gain in Zeta, we can use in other areas, of our lives, and vice versa.
out.
Leadership that we gain professionally, we bring those talent, skills, and abilities to Zeta to make her even better. And so even the last part of the slogan for a continued legacy of leadership, we have had strong leaders in this position. As Madam State Director indicated last night, it's been of an appointed nature. But now
Mhm,
we are at the point where we are offering ourselves for service for an elected position
mhm,
now, and to be in intentional service to the sisterhood that has elected us. That pretty much has been the breadth of my experience. And so I know the commitment as an elected official of this organization, and that commitment to the sisterhood that put me there. So we would just continue in the legacy of leadership of strong state directors that we have had, whether they were appointed or not. It was still a legacy of leadership that has brought North Carolina to where we are today.
and that's correct. And that's correct. So let me ask you a question. I know that probably pondered some of the sorors. So you was an international secretary, and
Hmm.
now you're running for state director. So,
Hmm.
it seemed like it's going the opposite way. If you was already
Hmm.
on the international level and you're going to the state level, can you explain
Hmm.
to us how that works so we can understand the way it works with international to the state and the positions and the duties of these positions?
Yeah, absolutely. So, first of all, let me be very clear that this definitely is not a step back. Just because you make it to the international level doesn't mean that you can't come and bring the knowledge, the skills, and the abilities that you have learned at different levels of the sorority. That's number one. Number two, as the international secretary, I was responsible for one piece of the pie, right? I had my record keeping duties, and I had other duties as assigned by the grant or the
Mhm,
chair, right?
mhm,
But the breadth of the duties and the responsibilities as a state director, and specifically the North Carolina state director, and one of the largest states in this entire sisterhood, is not a step back. And I want to be very clear on that.
mhm,
um to step back to state director is not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is I'm stepping in this position to continue to move North Carolina forward. I'm not stepping down, I'm not stepping back. I'm stepping in a legacy of leadership for this state to take us to the next level. And so, anyone who would think that just because I served at the international level, I would be stepping back, I think that's an ill misconception that definitely needs to be corrected. Um, the knowledge that I gained from serving on the regional and international levels is knowledge that I can bring home,
mhm.
not in the back door, in the front door. I can bring it home, right?
Right.
I'm a daughter of this state. You made me, you sent me off. I learned, I grew in Zeta, I gained experience on other levels. So I'm bringing that home to make us better, to
Mhm.
make us continue to move forward in the legacy of leadership. I'm ready to take the baton from our Madam State Director and transition with her and move the agenda of Zeta forward. So it's not a backward step. It's
Yeah.
an upward step. It's an onward step. And I'm ready to take every single step. And I hope the sisterhood is ready to step with me.
And I'm glad you really explained that because, it needs to be explained. So I'm glad you did
Yeah.
that. And that makes a lot of sense. A lot of
Yeah.
sense. So you have mentioned leadership. So let's talk about that. So what type of leader are you?
Yeah, so that's a huge question that we have been asked. And, again, the first way that I will explain myself is inclusive, because a leader cannot lead by herself, right? And
True.
so you have to have um, your talented resources with you, not around you, not under you, but with you,
Hmm.
to move such a broad state forward, right?
Hmm.
So we have so I would include the executive board, I would include the area coordinators, I would include the Bacilli Council,
Hmm.
because all of these levels help us become a greater state, right? And
Right.
so I'm inclusive. I am the type of leader that I bring all parties to the table, right? I
Hmm.
may have a vision, I may have an idea, but I think the input from others is crucial in executing that, right? I
Right.
may even have a plan on how to execute it, but someone may say, well, you might forget about this, you
Hmm.
might want to consider this. And so that's that inclusivity that is important when you're dealing with a board and you're dealing with different personalities, right? I am someone who sees you and hears you,
Hmm.
because if I don't, then I'm operating in a silo, right? And
Right.
I don't operate in a silo. Again, that's inclusive leadership, where you hear those who are at the table, and then you even see those who may not be at the table but may have something to offer, right? And
Right.
so I have spoken often about the untapped talent here in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And some of it has come to my attention, and some of it I see, but they don't know I see them, right? And so some people may be getting taps on the shoulder if I am victorious in these efforts,
Hmm.
because we're gonna use all of the resources that North Carolina has to make us a greater state. So I'm an inclusive leader that hears you, that sees you. I'm a communicator. I like to understand your point before I'm understood.
Hmm.
Um, and I like open communication. I don't like yes people around me, and I haven't had yes people around me. I've had people that have kept it real with me from day one, and you need those people to keep you grounded as a leader. So
Right.
I like communication. I can deal with conflict. And I know the difference between opposition and conflict. Everything is not a conflict. Just because you don't agree with me doesn't mean we're in conflict. We just are on opposite sides of the coin. And so
Hmm.
it is in that communication where we understand each other, before our own positions are understood,
Hmm.
that communication is key and effective in coming up with solutions that are beneficial for the state.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you described that. That was perfect. So before we close out for the evening, I'm going to ask you one more question. So
Yeah.
with this position, we all know that it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, a lot of long nights, long days, a lot of travel. So, what is the flexibility that you have to offer the state of North Carolina to be able to do all this, the duties that come with the position?
So fortunately, because I am working in a purposeful position, I have
Yeah.
that flexibility. I have a company that I work for that supported me. Actually, when I was hired, I was International Grammatias. I was able to discuss that with my upper management, and they were familiar with the organization because we have had several conferences over at the Sheraton in
Hmm.
the Quarry Center. And so um, I think it's important that I work for a company that supports work life balance. And so, because this is part of my life, I balance it with work, um, and I believe that flexibility will actually be beneficial for me to be present in this role that I am seeking election for. I have a great staff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I can leave, I can have time off or leave work and know that the business is taken care of at work. And that is part of my leadership, that when you train people up, you got to trust them to do the job, right?
Right.
And so that actually goes back to your last question about how I am as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so when you have a company that understands the organization that you serve, and you have a staff that understands your commitment to this organization, and you have a husband that understands the assignment and supports you anyway, that allows me to be available to the sisterhood in the capacity that I need to be available in.
Mm-hmm.
If I could not offer myself, um, offer my time in service, I wouldn't offer myself in service,
Mm-hmm.
because I know the task that is ahead of me, or whoever may be elected in this position, me, or whoever may be, but me.
You got to support yourself. If you don't, nobody will support you more than yourself, right?
Right,
There you
me.
go.
But I understand. I understand the assignment and I'm ready for it. And I'm not in it alone. There's a wonderful board of officers awaiting this decision so we can handle the business of Zeta. There are wonderful Soras out there waiting to be appointed so we can handle the business of Zeta. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not in it alone, right? And
Right.
I believe if everybody contributes, because we're all working in some way, shape, or form. So
Mm-hmm.
if everybody contributes, the sole sacrifice of time is not from me. We're all contributing. We're all sacrificing a little bit of time in order to get it done for North Carolina. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it.
Yes, that's you answered everything. So
Woo!
we're about to close out for the evening, but I want to just give, before we do our closings, I want to just give you an opportunity. If you want to comment before we leave out, please do so. I'll get it on the screen. We do have another comment from Soror Lucas, and exposure does not equal experience.
Yeah, experience matters. Experience, it definitely matters. And I hope it matters to the sisterhood, the experience that I am bringing to the table as I offer myself in service. This is a historic time in the sisterhood. It just, the future of the state of North Carolina depends on this vote. And if you believe that my experience matters, and the training and the leadership development that we talk about giving to Soras in the state, if you believe in the training and the leadership development that I have received in 34 years, then I'm asking for your vote for me for North Carolina State Director. And together we will position all SARS for success and continue this legacy of leadership in North Carolina. Regina, thank you so much
Oh, you
for
are
this
so welcome.
platform.
So welcome. And I appreciate you coming on to Let's Talk the second time around. And I know we will see you again. We got some more episodes coming up that you'll be perfect for. So, in hit, you'll be getting some calls. Uh, but for the state of North Carolina, the big day is on Saturday. So, Saturday we'll know who our new state director is. And
Yeah.
I appreciate you, Jamie Bridges Pass, coming on here and not just talking about just the platform, not just talking about Zeta, but talking about who you are as Jamie, you are as a wife, you are as a daughter and a sister. That's so important for anyone to know. You need to know a whole person when you're deciding to make a decision like this. You need to know who the person is all the way around,
Yeah.
fully. They'll give you a good perspective on how they'll handle their positions, how they handle their family, how they handle their life, how they handle, their situation. That gives you a good synopsis of how they handle stuff. So this
Amen.
is very important. That's why I would definitely want you to do this, because it's so important for people to see who you are as just Jamie.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. You know, I just adore you so much. Look, and I'll be waiting for those calls. You know, I always have fun. Look,
I
let's
know.
talk.
I know. Let's talk. We have a good time, definitely. So, Soros of North Carolina, as well as all Soros who was watching, because, this is Zeta. You're welcome to watch, and, we love you. So, thank you for joining us this evening. We had a great discussion with Jamie Bridges Past, and if you haven't, or if you need to, um, I guess, share it, you can. It's going to be on her page as well as my page, as well as Let's Talk 1943. You can go on there if you like the page. You'll be able to share it on that page so you can get it around to Soros before the week is over, so everybody can kind of see who Jamie is. So until next time, like I said, you'll be seeing Jamie again. So next time, we love you, and y'all have a good evening, and thank you for again for watching Let's Talk 1943.